Good morning, everyone. We will be getting started shortly. We're just waiting for more participants to join, and we'll be bringing the panelists up to the dashboard. Good morning, everyone. We will begin the webinar here in about 5 minutes. We're just waiting for more participants to join, and then we'll get started. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. We will get started with the webinar here in about 3 more minutes. Thank you for your patience. We'll get started in about 2 more minutes. Thank you. Nakwang Talongba, Candace Hamana Yanmatsua. Good morning. My name is Candace Hamana. I am the Arizona Commerce Authority Tribal Liaison. I am a member of the Arizona State Broadband Team. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the BEAD Challenge process overview and training for tribes. On the call with us today is Broadband Director Sandeep Bhowmik, GIS Manager Crystal Severse, our broadband program manager, Perla Lopez, and our digital equity manager, Aaron Lorandos. We also have our consultants who are going to help us walk you through this process, and that is Priya with AppGeo. And what we would like to do now is ask that anyone who is not a tribal member or a delegated authority or consultant with a tribe kindly leave the meeting this morning. This meeting is specifically for those individuals who are tribal members, tribal leaders, or delegates of authority to get this information today about the broadband mapping challenge. And with that, we're going to go ahead and hand over the webinar to Priya with AppGeo. And Priya, go ahead and introduce yourself and your team.
Thank you, Candice. Hello, everybody. My name is Priya Sankalia. I'm with the Sanborn Map Company, the AppGeo division of the Sanborn Map Company. And we have developed the Broadband Navigator, which is the tool that you will be using for participating in the BEAD challenge process, the state challenge process for Arizona. We'll be demonstrating the tool to you today, and my colleague Caitlin Severy will be walking you through the entire process. And if you have any questions, we'll have plenty of time at the end for questions. So please feel free to share your questions with us, and we'll do our best to respond to them. And if we don't have them right now, we will get back to you with the answers. So thank you all. Caitlin, all yours.
Thank you, Priya. Good morning. My name is Caitlin Severy. I'm going to be walking through the Broadband Navigator. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and we can get started. Okay. Perfect. So when you open the Arizona Broadband Navigator, this is going to be the first screen that you see. This is a splash screen. It gives you all sorts of information on the Arizona Broadband Navigator, some information on what a served, underserved, and unserved address is. You can view this information here and you can exit out using the X button on the top right-hand corner or pressing Explore the Map. If you do not want to see the screen again, you can select Do Not Show Again before selecting Explore the Map. You will now see your state front and center. As you can see, it is shown right now by county, and you can see some purple coloration on the back end. This is a CorfWeth map. This shows some service coverage with 100/20. If you would like to know more about the service coverage with 100/20 map, you can see the legend on the left-hand side. You can also change this to show any of the different map themes that we have provided. We have 3. So we also provide service coverage with 25/3 and number of providers. As you can see, when you switch between them, the colors in the back change, and you can also see the legend changes. In addition to changing the theme, you can also change the geographic boundary. By default, it's set to county, but by using this drop-down, you can select and change to any of the listed geographic boundaries here. So for instance, if we select Senate District, you'll see that this automatically updates the Senate districts, and you'll also see that the data and colors have changed to represent service coverage of 100/20 in those Senate districts. There are broadband and digital equity indicators, which you can see on the left-hand side here. We provide coverage, speed, subscription, income, race, and age. These are by default set to the state of Arizona. You can view them all at once by selecting data here, and you can see them numerically. You can also view them for a specific geographic region by selecting the region on the map, and the data will automatically update to show that region. If you would like to return to a statewide data set, you can select off of the map, and it returns automatically to the statewide data, and you can see the state of Arizona and the total serviceable locations above. The state is also equipped with a funding layer. You can select this here. This is our funding toggle, and you'll see a funding layer overlap on the top of the state. There's also a funding legend, which will show on the left-hand side here. This will give all the funding sources and their correlated colors. If you want any more information about those funding sources, you can select Help, go to Funding Layer, and you can get some information and select any of these links to view more information on that funding source. This help pop-up is also important, and it gives you a lot of information about the navigator as a whole, about any sort of information you might need if you need any assistance in the future. There is also an About section, and this gives a background on the map in general and about your state's speed challenge process. To turn the funding layer off, you can select the funding toggle again, and you will see that the layer automatically disappears. By now, you've probably noticed these donut-like representations on the map. These are address clusters. The number in the middle shows the number of addresses in that area, and the green, yellow, and red portions show the percentage of served, underserved, and unserved addresses in that region. You can view them all at once. You can also switch them up. If you would like to view just unserved addresses, you can select here. And the map will update to show those different numbers now and regions for the unserved addresses. You can hide them from the map by selecting Hide, or you can return to the default view by selecting All. As you zoom in and out on the map, those address clusters will change in composition and in number. You can zoom by using your mouse pad or your mouse wheel. You can also use the plus and minus on the bottom right-hand corner of the map. You can also select one of the address clusters, and it will automatically zoom into that area. As you continue to zoom in, you'll see that you get more and more donuts with smaller and smaller numbers, and eventually those donuts will disappear, and you will see address points. Each of these points represents an individual address. You'll also see that the map behind has disappeared. While the ChloroPath map in the background is gone, the funding layer does not disappear. You can see the funding layer all the way down to the address level if you wish. You can change your imagery to view aerial imagery by selecting up here and selecting aerial imagery. If you would like to return to the street map, simply go to the same button and select street map. Select an address and you can view some information on the address itself. Here you will see the full address, city and zip code, its status as residential, business, or mixed use, whether or not it is served, underserved, or unserved. You will also see any provider, technology, speed, and business residential service at that location. You will see whether or not the point is funded. If it is funded, you will see funded below, and then you will see the fund and the provider for that fund. And you can also see whether or not this point has been challenged. Right now, we have no challenges, so it will say no challenges. If it had been challenged, it will be listed as challenged. As a quick note, if your point is unserved, this table will be blank since there are no service providers in the area. Here is where a public member may take a speed test or report a service issue. Zooming is not the only way to view an address. You can also use the search bar above. When you start to search your address, you will see that it starts to auto-populate addresses in the list below. When you see your address show up, you can select it. And you will automatically be redirected to that address, and you will see the corresponding information on the left-hand side. Since we have kind of a baseline knowledge of how to run through the application itself, we can go to the sign-in page and talk about user registration. To register as a user, you can select Request an Account to begin submitting bead challenges below, or you can select the sign-in button in the top right-hand corner. Here you'll see a login page. Select Request a New Account to request your account. Here you will be asked to fill in your information. So fill in your full name, your email address, your phone number, and then you will be asked to choose an organization category. Here we'll put Unit of Local Government, and you'll see a second drop-down show up. This drop-down will show any registered organizations that have already registered and been accepted. Right now, we can just see the test organizations, so we can select Other, and we can put Organization 1. If my account is accepted, you will now see Organization 1 in the organization drop-down. So anyone from your organization can now select that, so you are all part of one entity. Enter your web page and request an account. After you've requested an account, you will get an email just confirming your request. The broadband office will take a look and either accept or reject your account. If you have been rejected, you will get an email informing you of the rejection. You can either resubmit a request or you can reach out to your broadband office. If you have been accepted, you will receive an email with a link. Follow the link to complete your registration. It will just ask you for information like your password. Once you've completed your registration, you can log in. Now that we are all logged in, we can talk about the challenge process. To submit a challenge, you can either search the address that you would like to challenge, or you can zoom into the address. Select the address and see the corresponding address on the top left-hand side and confirm that it is correct. Select Submit a Challenge. Here you will be presented with a page that gives you your service issue to submit. Confirm again that the address up top is correct and select the drop-down for the service issue. You will be given a variety of issues to select, including availability, data cap, business service only, speed, latency, technology, enforceable commitment, not a part of an enforceable commitment, planned service, location as a community anchor institution or CAI, and location is not a CAI. Select your reason, and you'll be directed to a page to fill out some more information. Here we're filing an availability challenge. So you'll be asked to select your provider, technology, and speed, the reason, and your property type. This is a residential property, so I will select residential. Take a brief moment to read over the certification of individual or certifying official and the Privacy Act statement. If all information is correct and lawful, select Next. Here you will be asked to upload your evidence. There's dynamic text in the middle that will change depending on what type of service issue you are experiencing and what evidence you are required to provide. You can select your evidence by selecting Choose Files. Your evidence must be in a PDF format. You can add up to 5 types of evidence. All types of evidence must be under 5 megabits for all 5. Select Choose Files. Choose your evidence and select Open. You will see that your evidence was successfully attached with this green check mark. If you have made an error and selected the wrong file, you can press X to disconnect it, and then you can go through the same process by selecting Choose Files and selecting the correct file. Select Submit, and your challenge has now been successfully submitted. You can also do bulk challenges. To do a bulk challenge, you can select this nifty draw tool up top. Draw around the area that you wish to challenge and double click to close the polygon. Here you can select Submit Challenge. And you will have 3 different types of challenges you can submit a bulk challenge on. You can submit an enforceable commitment, not a part of an enforceable commitment, or a planned service bulk challenge. Select your challenge, the technology being built if it is an enforceable commitment, and complete the information provided. In the same steps, choose your evidence and submit. You've now submitted your bulk challenge successfully. So where the challenge goes from here is it goes to the broadband office to view the evidence and reject or accept the challenge. It will also go to your challenge dashboard. You can view all of your challenges that you have made under My Challenges here, and you can view their challenge status, their ID, their challenge type, and the date that you submitted the challenge. If the challenge is accepted, we can view here. If the challenge evidence is accepted, you will see the challenge status will update to awaiting rebuttal. If the challenge evidence is rejected, it will be moved to the completed portion here with evidence rejected. You can view rebuttals in the Open Rebuttals section. Select Open Rebuttals to view any open rebuttals to all registered users. Open rebuttals are rebuttals of challenges that are of enforceable commitment, not a part of enforceable commitment. Location is a CAI, or location is not a CAI. Here you can rebut any of the available open rebuttals. Select it, rebut, choose your evidence, and submit in the same way you did for your challenge. This rebuttal will now be sent to the broadband office for review. If the evidence is sufficient, it will be accepted. If the evidence is insufficient, it will be rejected. Either way, once it has been reviewed by the broadband office, it will end up in completed open rebuttals with the challenge status as accepted or rejected. All open rebuttals will remain here until the end of the rebuttal period or until they have been reviewed by the broadband office. That was a quick overview of the Arizona Broadband Navigator. I want to open the floor for any questions that we might have.
Thank you, Caitlin. I am noticing we've got 3 questions in the Q&A. We'll start from the top. EJ John asked, do the geographic regions on the map reflect the service areas?
Maybe I need a little more clarification. I don't know if Sandeep, you can take that, but
folks, can we unmute EJ? Probably it would be great to have a one-on-one conversation.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if the service areas that we've been talking about for the program, if those are the same as the geographic regions on the map.
Yes, so the 100 by 20 levels you are seeing, EJ, those are kind of like a high level representation of that map. So to give you an example, if you kind of look into Navajo Nation area, you will see that it's less than 25 by 3. It's more red, less green. So that's a representation of the geographical area, if that's what you are asking. But to challenge a specific location as BEAD funding dips down to a household level, you have to like go into the household level and then submit a challenge.
Okay. Maybe not, I don't know if it's called service areas, but like, we've talked before about like the project areas and how that was divided up.
No, not yet, EJ. So that would be a separate map. This is just to challenge and basically resident nonprofit organizations, tribal government, and local government is submitting a challenge on an existing service level. So we are not adding a new address or project area or deleting an address. What we are doing, just making sure if a carrier provides any kind of service or claiming some sort of service, it's a verification method from the local government and community and tribal government to make sure that that's exactly what they are delivering. If they're not delivering that and it falls below the threshold of BEAD funding, then we'll open up those areas for BEAD funding.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for clearing that up.
No worries.
All right, the other question here is from Mark Ashley. He asks, what constitutes a challenge? For example, if we see an address as unserved and we know it is. And then he asked a follow-up, are there definitions for all of these terms? And I think he's referring to maybe what an enforceable commitment is, what a rebuttal is, just for examples and some context.
Sure. So the map itself definitely shows what's unserved, underserved areas are, enforceable commitments are, but there are also documentation posted on ACA website, which clearly outlines what is an unserved area or unserved household, what is an underserved household, and enforceable commitment are. There are one-pager document, and also there are the initial proposal volume 1, which outlines what constitutes challenge and why we're holding this challenge process, mapping, and what's the timeline and everything else. So we can definitely send you a link for that where it's posted on our website, and happy to follow up with any additional question if you have any.
The types of challenges, that table is also available in the Navigator user guide found on our website.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, Crystal. And then we have the question from Keith Franklin. He asked, this is the state map. This is state map linked to the FCC broadband map. So if we challenge on the FCC map, does it come over to this map here?
Keith, to answer your question, the layer of our map is coming from FCC broadband map, the addresses, service, location, availability, and everything. However, when you are challenging FCC, you are not challenging FCC on the availability, you are challenging FCC on the location. So basically, it's the BSL fabric location, what is missing from the map, and you are adding new location or deleting existing location. What we are doing in our map, we're not adding or deleting location, we are just confirming the service level. So this will not pick up data from the FCC map or export or like sync with the FCC map. So this is a different, almost same map, just for a different purposes.
And I don't know if you have a follow-up to that. We have one more question coming in from Wayne Taylor. Our reservation does not have physical addresses, but our residents/locations are identified by latitude, longitude. Will these be sufficient to show on your maps for the challenge process?
When we are using Fabric version 3.2, Crystal, is that the version we are using? Just to confirm. Okay, so we are using Fabric version 3.2. So any location which was on the last Fabric FCC published is also in our map. So we are collecting the layer of or brain of this whole map we have published is coming from FCC version. So if you see a location in the FCC map from your reservation and it should be in our map, please feel free to let us know, but that's how the data should be synced. And as far as it's on the map, our map I'm talking about, you will be able to submit a challenge. It doesn't need to have a physical address.
You're welcome, Keith. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A, but leave it open for a few minutes. Yep, there are no additional open questions at this time. I think the most important thing to know for our tribal folks is that, the challenge process portal will open officially on the 15th. And so I think it would be good to have a chance to review the user guide. I know we may have some additional help getting some information out with some partner organizations that are just going to help facilitate communicating, directions on how to use the portal or how to submit a project area through the challenge process. But the portal does open on the 15th, and if you remember, Caitlin said that you'll need to upload your documents as a PDF. So I think that's also a really important thing to know, and that it's helpful if you know you're going to do submit a challenge, that you get your PDFs and your evidence set aside and saved in a folder and converted to a PDF. That way, when it's time to go into the portal and register, and well, you can register now, but when it's time to go into the portal and submit a challenge, you'll have all your documents right there, and you can just upload it and get it done in one swoop. We've got
EJ has a question.
Yep, we've got one more question here from EJ. Are your latency and data cap thresholds the same as the NTIA model process?
Yes, EJ, we are basically taking everything out from the NTIA playbook. So it's going to be exactly same.
Now, Sandeep, can you run us through? I know the process altogether is at 120 days from start to finish. That includes since March 1 and runs through May, I believe.
Right. So if you go to our website, the link was posted by our digital equity program manager, Erin. You will see there is a timeline there. And we opened the map portal for registration on March 1st. So you are welcome to register, but you won't be able to submit any challenge before March 15th. Our challenge process is going to be open for 2 months, so March 15th to all the way May 14th. And there will be a period of 14 days. When you submit a challenge against any ISP, it goes to that ISP and they have 15 days to respond. If they fail to respond within these 15 days, or they do respond, but it is not a sufficient response, we'll open up that area for BEAD funding or that particular household. However, if their response is sufficient, then we will reject the challenge. You will be able to see that in your portal when you are submitting a challenge. Then a state broadband office will have 1 month to make this determination, post all those challenges and our response and the ISP's response on a public website for 60 days before we open up the whole state for BEAD funding. One thing I really would like to highlight for the tribes in this call is the federal deduplication. There are federal funding in your tribe. There are a couple of Arizona tribe who received federal funding and currently working with NTUA or USDA. If you are a direct applicant for those federal funding and you are going through a process to deploy that broadband infrastructure, that's great. Those areas are not going to be open for BEAD funding if those infrastructure projects are meeting the BEAD standard, meaning 100 by 20. And if those are providing broadband connectivity through a reliable broadband delivery that includes licensed fixed wireless, fiber, or cable. Unlicensed is not a reliable broadband delivery for as per NTI module. What we adopted, then those areas are not going to be eligible for BEAD funding. However, there are some funding like RDOF, ECAM, some other USDA funding. Those directly went to the ISPs. And if those are on tribal land and you as a tribe did not provide any consent, I would highly recommend you to submit a challenge for that portion of your tribe. We are working together. We can definitely identify those project areas here in the state that which tribe has those projects directly come from federal government and went to the ISP without tribal consent. Feel free to submit a challenge. If they don't have your consent to build in your land, that areas are going to be, or household are going to be open for BEAD funding. You have full liberty to reject or accept any kind of funding came to tribes directly without a authorization from the tribe themselves. So this is the most important aspect of the tribal challenge. We think from our office perspective. Happy to answer any additional question regarding that.
Keith Franklin has another question, and this may or may correlate to that, but he said Cox is claiming fiber on the reservation, which is not true. There is no Cox fiber in the community. What documentation do you need to prove this?
Great. That's a great example, Keith. What you can do, you can select all those households where Cox is claiming that they have fiber and submit a challenge. All you have to do, provide probably a letter or 6 people around that community to make sure that you are submitting a challenge. You can also provide a letter from the tribe itself. And then we'll reach out to Cox and we'll ask for their network model, their diagram, their actual deployment in that area. If it's a quote unquote hypothetical deployment, meaning they're planning, they're not sure when they're going to deploy it, there is a provision in the challenge process. It says that they have to sign a binding agreement with us that they are going to complete this project before June 30th, which is really, really like not that great amount of time. So if Cox fails to do that, then those areas are going to be open for BEAD funding. But Keith, that's a very interesting point. Could you please send us an email? We'd love to chat with you one-on-one and help you with that.
And then we have a question from EJ John. I noticed some CAIs that are marked on the map, but a little off from their locations. Is that something that can be challenged?
EJ, we are correcting some of those. There are some geocoding issue we faced when we rendered that data. I don't personally feel that need to be challenged as far as it's marking as a CAI in the map, and as far as it says that it's an institute, falls under CAI and everything else. We will connect. We'll actually tweak those latitude and longitude. But if you feel free to send us an email and we'll be able to have a look. Candace, could you please provide my email address so that we can directly talk to Keith? And your email address as well, please.
Yes, doing that now. Thank you. I don't see any other questions coming in the Q&A, but we'll give it a few seconds. Keith, I'm typing a response to your question right now. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. Again, the next step in the challenge process after these training webinars is to actually open the challenge portal on March 15th. Definitely prepare the documentation that you need to submit your challenge. Make sure it's in a PDF format. And if you have any questions at all, similar to maybe Keith's question or any question in general, feel free to reach out to our team. You can certainly start with me, but I will make sure that we get your question routed to the appropriate person, whether it be Sandeep, Crystal, Perla, or Aaron. We're all here to be a resource and provide information as we can for our tribal stakeholders. We also have office hours. Perla, are you able to kind of speak to the office hours?
Yeah, those office hours will be taking place every Tuesday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. We'll share a link in the chat here for you to register for 30 minutes to register for 30 minutes of Sandeep and Crystal's time to be able to talk about the challenge process. Like they can walk you through it. If you're having any struggles in any of those areas, they can provide that type of guidance for you.
And that is if you need help just navigating the portal or have general questions about the process. So and I'll make sure I follow up in an email communicating those office hours because you do need to sign up for that 30-minute window. And we want to make sure that you've got ample notice and time to do that. And thank you, Erin. She's put all of the information and the resources that you can find online in the chat. Information about the challenge process and the calendar widget that we use for signing up for those office hours that Perla was talking about. If there are no additional questions, we're going to make sure that we honor your time and give you 20 minutes back. We'll definitely follow up with email communications. We're here again if you have any questions or you have any particular situations as you're navigating the portal and registering. We encourage you to register, and we would like to see, full participation from all of our tribes to have them register in the portal. But if you see anything that doesn't match up with maybe what your data is telling you, definitely please reach out to us and we'll be here to assist you with that. And with that, we just want to thank our consultants, AppGeo, Priya, and Caitlin. Thank you for walking us through the portal, answering the questions, and to the broadband team. Thank you so much for all taking time out of your day. We will meet again soon and have a great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.